Great. We should now be live and working. Okay, I can see a couple of attendees just filing into the room, which is great. So welcome to today's session. Today, we're going to be talking about how to scale agency revenue and also by adding social media services onto that. If you can let me know that you're able to hear me okay, you can see the screen share right now. That would be really great. Maybe go ahead and use the chat box in the Zoom webinar to let us know kind of where you're watching this webinar from today. I think that would be a nice, easy way for me to just make sure the chat box is working for everyone, that everyone can see and hear things clearly. And then we can kick off today's session. So welcome if you're just joining us right now. Today, we're going to be talking about how to scale your agency revenue by adding social media services and some other expansion opportunities. My name is Dylan. I will do a proper intro in a second, but first of all, if you could go ahead and use the chat section to let us know where you're joining from on today's session, that would be really great. And I already see the first couple of comments coming through here. So welcome to, I think it's Yanis over there from Greece and Alea from Los Angeles, which is really cool. Good to see a varied crowd here already. I'm actually based in and coming live from Tallinn in Estonia in Europe today. So I will give you all a full introduction to myself in a couple minutes. We'll just give it another maybe 30 seconds or so to let anyone in who may be joining us a little bit later than planned. And then we will kick everything off. So thank you to everyone who is joining us right now here live. If you're watching the replay of this or the recording of this session, and do try your best next time to join us on one of these live sessions so that you can come along and can ask your questions and we can maybe guide and help you in real time. Okay, I think that's enough time hanging around for everyone. So we will get started. Hello to Gabriel from San Diego as well. Good to see you here. So today we're going to be covering a few different areas. The wider topic, right, is how to scale your agency revenue by adding social media services. But we're also going to talk a little bit outside of just social media services as well. I want to talk about, in general, kind of growing and scaling your agency and how you can expand out with different service offerings, whether they're complementary services, additional services, and of course, some of those are going to be social media services and social media related services. But hopefully I'll be able to give you in this like 45 minutes or so that we'll spend together today. Hopefully I'll be able to provide you with some deeper or wider context on growing your agency, what services to offer, how to make delivery easier and smoother, and just a few of the core pillars to think about when expanding out your business. I would love to know from those of you here what kind of agencies or businesses you're running right now. I'm just going to take these headphones off real quick because I have too much background noise coming through from them. But yeah, so if you could let me know what kind of agency you're running or business you're running right now, that would be awesome. And then I will jump into telling you a little bit about me and kind of why I'm running today's session before we get into the depth of things. I'm going to be drinking a lot of water today. I've been a little bit sick the last 3 or 4 days, so I need to make sure I'm hydrating myself a lot. So forgive me if there's a few extra breaks on today's session. But yeah, this is me. My name is Dylan. I run my own agency, so I am one of the co-founders and the CEO of a business called HeyDigital. And so we're a digital marketing agency that works specifically with B2B SaaS companies, and we run their paid acquisition and creative projects that go alongside their paid acquisition. So we're very much a kind of specialist, niche-focused agency. Officially, the business has been alive for just over 3 years now. And I would say we've experienced most of our growth over the last 1.5 years specifically. We've gone from a team of 2-3 people to a team of 14 right now. We are a completely remote business and have been or plan to be that way from the beginning. So we have people in 10 different countries currently. And we work with now some of the leading SaaS businesses. I don't know if anyone here is kind of involved or knows much about the SaaS space, but we're working with companies like Hotjar, Stream, Userleap, companies that have raised hundreds of millions of dollars in funding and financing and are growing very quickly. We are the team that supports them or powers a lot of their paid acquisition programs, a lot of the advertising creative that you'll see on social media, landing pages, etc. And I also host a podcast, although I haven't released an episode there for a few months now, but I also host a podcast called the SaaS Marketing Show, which is the #1 SaaS marketing podcast, had over 40,000 downloads in its first year, where we were interviewing CMOs and really smart marketers at some of the top SaaS companies in the world. The reason I'm running today's session is that the team at PromoRepublic are very much invested in providing learning, training, education for other agency owners and freelancers and consultants. And I am part of that effort to provide ongoing kind of learning and training materials, as well as a number of other people as well. So we do a number of webinars and other sessions like this, online events, etc. And I'll share a bit more information about those a little bit later on. Me personally, I usually run webinars 2 times a month, and we cover a variety of different topics. For me, when I'm doing something like this, my kind of why I would do this, on my core focus, is I would really love to spend some time working through challenges or supporting some of you who are here on these sessions. This is why I love it when, if we can have like an interactive or an engaged audience. I think I do the best webinars in that spell. So if any of you are sat here today and you have specific questions about either what we're talking about and discussing, or just challenges you're facing in your agency that you want to work through, ideas that you need, support that you need, I really do encourage everyone to use the Zoom chat box as much as you possibly can throughout the session. Don't wait till the end. Any questions you have, get them in, because I would really love to provide some support. Maybe I'm not necessarily an expert agency owner by any means. I'm going through my own kind of growth journey myself, but I can definitely share some of our learnings going from 3 people to 14 people, multi or millions of euros in revenue upcoming now. And yeah, some of the mistakes that we've made and learnings that we've had, other training and influences that we've had from external people too. So make sure you make use of this live time is what I'm getting at if you're here live, because I wish I had more things like this when I was first getting started. So that's a little bit about me. That's why I am here running these sessions today. And this is a high level of what you can expect us to cover today. So before you can even consider or start to grow your agency, there's a few things that you need to think about, because we could just jump straight into, okay, this is 3 or 4 ways to grow your agency or your business. But I think it's really important to have a good baseline or foundation set. And I wish I had the foundation of our agency built a lot faster than I did. And so hopefully I can share with you a few tips here today. So the first one is to think about, what kind of agency is it you're building? I've talked about this more in depth on a previous webinar, and all of the previous webinars you are able to find pretty easily. You can head over to, I think it's growth.promorepublic.com over here, and you can see all of the previous webinars from myself and other people, all available on demand here, a number of other resources, etc. But I've talked in a previous webinar about the different ways or setups of building an agency. We did a whole session talking about niching down, kind of pros and cons of running a niche focused agency. So I won't run through all of the same information again. However, you do really need to consider what kind of agency it is that you're building before you even start thinking about how you're going to kind of scale or grow that agency or that business of yours, right? And so these are, in my eyes, the 4 core, like, different agency types or offerings that there are. There's those focusing on one specific service offering for one specific niche of customer. And so that's how HeyDigital started. We're not exactly that anymore, but at the very beginning, it was, okay, we just do paid advertising and we just do it for B2B SaaS companies. And there's a bit more depth to it than that, but that will give you an idea. In my mind, that's one specific offering, one specific niche of customer. Now, some people focus on one specific offering, but to multiple different types of customers. So you could run a paid advertising agency, but you may work with local businesses, software companies, events, all these kind of things, right? Then there's focusing on multiple different service offerings, but for one specific niche of customer. So at HeyDigital, we're not necessarily at that point just yet. However, we have started to expand our service offering over the last year, where now, instead of just paid advertising for SaaS, we've expanded to paid advertising and creative for SaaS. And that is actually a kind of branch off of the success that we've seen with our working progress and system for our clients. And I'm going to talk more about that in depth a little bit later on. But focusing on multiple different service offerings for one specific niche, that could be like, okay, we are the marketing agency for SaaS companies, and we could do paid ads, we could do landing pages, copywriting, email marketing, whatever else it may be, content creation, design, who knows. So there's that. And then there's focusing on multiple different service offerings for multiple different types of customers. And so this is more of the quote unquote traditional full service marketing agency who could offer a wide range of services to a wide range of customers. Okay. So number one, think about what kind of agency it is that you want to be building. I think this is really key. I see in the comments, Gabriel says, I run a digital marketing agency offering web, graphic, and currently focused in positioning, mastering, ad delivery, and automized systems. I think automized, is that the right word? I don't know, but I know what you mean. I know what you mean, Gabriel. So if anyone else wants to share what kind of agency they're running, that would be really great. Or any challenges that you've come up against when thinking about the kind of agency that you want to build. Then you have to think about service offerings based on what I mentioned earlier. For this slide, I just threw a few different ideas of service offerings or initial offerings onto the screen, but there could potentially be hundreds or there could potentially be tons of different offerings. You could be offering, let's say, email marketing, website design, social media marketing, like we're here to talk about a bit more today, graphic design, video editing, podcast management. I've seen this a lot more recently, podcast management agencies. There's podcast booking and guest booking agencies. You could be running a copywriting agency or business. There's like video editing. There's so many different services that you can offer, whether you decide to narrow down and offer one and one of those alone or multiple. That completely depends on the kind of angle that you want to position your agency, or what you want your agency positioning and branding to be like, and then more importantly, what your service delivery is going to be like. And that's what we're going to spend a bit more time talking about in depth later on, is how to build out this kind of systemized machine and how important that is for service delivery in order to scale and grow your agency. Okay, so you think about what kind of agency you're wanting to build in terms of from the operational side or the service offering side, and you start to look at different services that you could potentially offer. Then in my mind, one of the next steps or other things that's really important to consider is like, who is it that you actually want to work with? Who are the best kind of clients for you? And so this is going to vary depending on what kind of agency you decide to set up, what kind of service offering you have, which kind of companies you're going to work with. We also did a previous webinar all about like expanding your agency or landing new clients for your agency or something along those lines. And this is part of a slide that I've pulled from that deck and made some changes to, because I think as an agency, one of the mistakes I see a lot of agencies making now, fortunately at HeyDigital, we haven't made this mistake too often because I was very aware of this from the beginning. But I see a lot of agencies taking on any potential work that comes to them. Anyone that looks like, okay, they have the budget to work with you, you'll say yes to. And people taking on too much work, overloading themselves and their team, but actually more often than not, working with clients who you knew from the very beginning were going to be trouble or weren't a good fit for you and your team and your business. I think one of the reasons that we've been able to see some good success at HeyDigital over the last year, and more importantly, one of the reasons why my team, I believe, is extremely happy and enjoys our working environment, is because of how selective we are with the kind of clients we work with. We have an understanding or a list of like, okay, this is the characteristics or the traits of the kind of companies or kind of clients that we would like to work with and see success with. And if you don't match those, if you don't line up with those, we're going to turn you away and not work with you. We've turned away plenty of work. Actually, just this week, we had agreed to work with, or got very close to agreeing to work with a company. And then through the contractual process, they were very challenging and difficult. And wanted lots of adjustments and changes, and there were some other red flags going off. And so we decided to actually pull out as an agency, even though we've been through a lot of work together to land that potential client. So I think it's really, really important to be very focused and specific with who you want to work with, and don't say yes to every potential client that comes to you. It's a huge mistake that agencies make. I know you might want to pick up that revenue as quickly as possible. But at the same time, sometimes those quick wins can actually set you back significantly. Whenever we've had challenges with a client at HeyDigital and had to work through things, it's been a lot more difficult than working with someone that we know matches our kind of core customer criteria. Let me know actually if any of you have also had similar experiences. Like, I'm sure you've all got a story, right, of a client that you knew wasn't a right fit and you almost instantly regretted things, or at some point you regretted things. Let me know how many of you would say that you've had issues with accepting or working with the wrong clients or not being selective enough in the past. I would love to hear from some of you. And thank you for bearing with me for the extra drinking of water today. I appreciate it. So yeah, this is something that's super, super important. And as I said, at the moment, we're just talking about some baseline stuff before thinking about how to expand. But before you even think about adding new services or expanding or growing your agency, I think these are some of the core pillars that you need to have in line. And so here on the screen, I know I haven't actually talked through all of these bullet points, but you've been able to read them because they've been here for a while. This will give you some insight as to like some of the triggers that we view for like potential flags for good and bad clients. Okay, so you've got all that figured out. Then the next step is, how are you going to do great work? Now, I think it was Gabriel said earlier that he is working on, automating systems. As an agency owner, one of the things I wish I learned sooner, or not learned because I kind of knew about this, but one of the things I wish I took more seriously sooner was how key quality systems are to building, growing, and scaling a successful business, or successful agency especially. So we have invested a lot of money now at HeyDigital in our systems. And this all began about a year ago. We worked with a consultant for a number of months. I think we maybe spent, I don't know, anywhere from 10 to 20,000 with one consultant on kind of our initial systems build out. And then we worked with a specific business or agency that helped us set up all of our project management workflows. And that was another significant, like, I think maybe even $15,000 or euro investment. And then lots of other ongoing stuff too. But the way that I think the reason our business is tripled in revenue in the last 12 months and is continuing to run at that same trajectory. And the reason that we're actually having to stop taking on too many new clients right now is because of how much time and resource we dedicate to systems. We always feel like we need to be improving our systems and are always working on our systems, but these are just key to building a scalable agency. When I say systems, I mean like literally having documented process for like everything, and then turning things that are repetitive into workflows. So like our client onboarding experience is nearly fully automated, or the steps that aren't automated are very well structured. What we do when we land a new client in our project management software, there's all these different steps that get set up automatically based on different due dates and then get assigned to different people on the team. There's all these different things that we do. And then from our project work and project delivery, we have standard ways of doing things. We have different databases for where we store things and everything else. Like there's a ton behind the scenes that goes into making an agency operate smoothly. And you have to really think about how you're going to build quality service delivery systems and just internal systems for your agency team and culture. And so that also means thinking about, okay, how's your agency or your team going to be structured? Is it going to be a remote team? Are they going to be in person? Are you going to have like a pod team structure, a flat team structure, a fluid team structure? Are you going to focus on hiring the best of the best or the highest quality you can? Or are you going to focus a bit more on bringing in junior level people, training them up? Are you going to be working with lots of clients at low margin, or are you going to work with a few clients at high margin? Like all these different things to consider. And then like, I'm going to go into this actually on this next slide. So talking about some tips for building this baseline for sustainable growth and expanding into other service offerings. And that's where we'll start talking about like my thoughts on expanding your business with offering social media services or other services. We'll talk about those in a second, but I do just think it makes sense to spend a little bit more time talking about systems and tips for kind of sustainable growth. Does that sound okay for those of you who are here? And if you have any systems related or agency related questions, please, please, please start to get them in. I just want to encourage you to do that one more time. I know you might get a little bit sick of that, but I'm going to keep asking you. I'm just going to pause this screen share for 1 second and pull up a couple of things that I want to share that we do internally at HeyDigital that might help give all of you an idea for how we do things. Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple of examples in a second when I pull my screen sharing back on of what some tools that you can utilize or some internal systems that we work on and build out. I've just got to be triple careful that what I show is isn't too sensitive, right? So I'm just I wasn't planning on showing everything here, but I think it'll be useful for some of you. So let's do this real quick. Okay, I'm actually going to go here. Okay, so to give you one example, when I say, hey, we document and we like to build systems for everything, we have some internal change happening at our agency right now where we are introducing a little bit of a new structure. And that in terms of our internal team, we're introducing a new position, which is an account manager role. And our account managers will be taking over communication or the responsibility for communication with some of our clients, taking that away from me so that I have more time to be working on other initiatives. And so part of that means, okay, we need to decide what does good client communication look like, or how do we run communication? And so we use a tool called Miro, which is a kind of planning and mapping board. And so my operations team, their first step when we decide to do something like this and make a change is, okay, let's build out an overview of how some of our communications work right now. So what types of different communications do we have? What different calls do we have? What inbound messages are there? Outbound messages? Who are the current client facing people? Who are passive? What do our call structures look like? Who needs to be involved in those? And someone says I'm not sharing, but I can see that it is sharing. So hopefully you can see this. And so we'll take a board like this and start to build things out. Or what we'll do is internally we are going through a little bit of a transition, like I mentioned. And so we will do something like this, where it'll be a case of, okay, this is a transition plan for when someone for what we need to do to replace someone specific on the team, how many weeks we have in order to get that done, what key things need to happen, who's responsible for these, and then who's going to take over on our team internally with our specific clients on the different client work, etc. And so we use these kind of flows and mapping structures for everything, for the starting blocks of our agency builds. And so you'll see that we've transitioned from like day one of when we're building out and mapping out our flow of what the team may look like. And then I can zoom out a ton and start to show you, hey, these are all the different iterations that we've been through of like, okay, what our updated team structure or our new team structure looks like. So over here, this is what our team is currently looking like right now. And so we're just like making sure we have baselines for everything. And we'll take out a lot of these different boards as the first kind of planning point. And this is one example of building out structure. Then we use a tool called Trainial, which I would recommend for storing your SOPs, standard operating procedures. I would recommend you can either store them in like Google Docs or a tool like Trainial, which helps train your team and all of your different processes and how you utilize them. And then one other thing I wanted to share with you, just to show the kind of depth of systems, I'm going to just hit pause for a second whilst I open up something that's a little bit sensitive over here. can I show this? I'm not sure if I am going to be able to show this. Let me see. Okay, I can show this. So ClickUp, which is our project management software. In here, we have what's called a process library over here on the left. And inside this process library, we have things for client process templates, delivery, which is our new client folder template, client management, client services, growth, all these different areas. And so I could go to, okay, let's look at our new client onboarding. And so we would duplicate this, and we have all of the tasks for new client onboarding, all of the tasks, all of the subtasks, with all the different blockers and dependencies, all the different labels for different people on the team who's going to manage this. And so we have every step for client onboarding pretty much mapped out into a system and a process. And we would hit launch on this. It would automatically assign to the right people based on the delivery roles. And we hit a due date for the kind of final date, and it updates all of the due dates. And so we've spent like so much time optimizing our systems like this to really build out this scalable infrastructure. And so this is what's really important before you start looking at expanding with other service offerings and opportunities, is like, are you in a spot where your current service delivery is in a good place and operating well? And are you in a spot where it's easy to replicate that by bringing new members onto the team? And then once you have all of that in place, your life as an agency owner is going to be a load easier, and your business becomes more valuable. It becomes more scalable. There are so many other things I could kind of share with you too, but like making sure everyone on your team has defined roles, responsibilities, making sure everyone has SOPs for the different things that they do on a daily basis, all this other stuff. Yeah, thanks. Angelina says it's awesome and intense. Yeah, it is intense, and I wouldn't be able to do this without my team, my co-founder, my head of operations, the consultants we've worked with. But I feel like my life, if I'm honest with you right now, as we're scaling, my life is a bit stressful. I feel like I'm not, I don't know, I feel like I'm a little bit all over the place, and that's with all of this structure in place. So I can't even imagine how I would feel without this stuff. So that's this. Now we're going to talk about expansion. But before we do talk about expansion fully, I want to give you a quick update or reminder about the next webinar. So there's actually a webinar happening next week. I'm going to show it to you in a second. I need to grab the link again real quick because I thought I'd saved it, but I haven't for some reason. But there is a new webinar happening next week, not with myself. It's actually with Felix over here, Felix Velarde. And it is in a week from now, and it's how to prioritize for business growth. So how to prioritize tasks with the biggest impact, create a robust growth plan, delegate and empower your team, and build momentum and scale at speed. So kind of adding on to what I've just been sharing, he'll hopefully be going a little bit deeper into how to do that. And so if you want to join that, I am going to put in the Zoom chat right now a link for that webinar. And I would really recommend you, take a look at this. So Felix here, as you'll see, started one of the world's first web design agencies in 1994, co-created Headspace, etc., etc. So recommend checking this one out. And then I will be back with another session in the not too distant future, which I'm sure you'll maybe hear about on this session with Felix. So check that out. And now let's spend a little bit of time talking about actual expansion. I know that today's topic was how to scale your revenue by adding social media services. So some of you might be thinking, oh, but we haven't talked about that too much just yet. And that's because I don't think you should consider scaling by adding extra services until you have your baseline in place and until you feel ready to scale. And I'll share that with my story. So I think you should nail one service first, or work with like a high number of clients first, so that you can learn what works. And so for us, we started with just paid ads. Then we realized that paid ads don't work as well if they don't have great ad creative, if they don't have great landing pages. And the clients that we work with it can be very hard for them to find designers or have enough people on their team internally to do that. So a landing page or ad creative could take weeks or months, and they couldn't create it at volume. And so we saw over time, over the first, I don't know, 10, 15 clients that we work with, a common recurring issue was they need creative support. So we decided to introduce into our service offering building and designing ad creatives and landing pages. And we do an awesome job at this. So you can take a look if you were interested at our Dribble profile, dribble.com/HeyDigital, and see a load of our creative examples here. We saw this gap of like, okay, this is a supplementary service to what we are doing currently, but makes our service better and makes our clients' lives better. So it started with ad creative, but now it's expanding to like, we work with some companies where we don't run their ads at all, but we just do some ad designs for them. Some companies where we've just done some landing page designs for them. Some where we've given like consulting on their creative performance. Then we started to see, okay, people's ads are running, but their websites aren't converting or their conversion rate has dropped. So we've started to do some consulting around conversion rate optimization and ad creative optimization, and some consulting. Like just yesterday, I did a 3-hour workshop with a business on paid advertising approach for SaaS businesses. So we look at, okay, from the learnings we have from our current clients, where are they lacking and what can we add on top or support our current service offering with to in turn charge more money, but also, as well as charging more money, support your clients more. And so that's one route to go down. But then there's also other areas to think about. So for example, like think about the service offering that you're doing right now. Are there ways that you can expand that by either doing more of it or going deeper into it? Or are there things like, okay, I see an opportunity with the clients we work with where we're running their paid ads, we're doing their creative, but maybe they need support on their SEO and content delivery and strategy. Now, we don't have the team or the resource internally to do that right now, but maybe if we built out some great systems for SEO and content, and we built out an additional team for SEO and content, I know that I could sell and close that service to our clients because it's something that they need. So whenever I'm thinking about expansion, think about expanding from within first, rather than bringing on new clients. Think about what can you do with your current clients to offer them more support, more service, and more value, really. And so that's kind of where thinking about social media as an add-on or an offering can help. Like, for example, with some of our clients who are now, let's say they've raised funds, they're being they want to promote their business more, running, like we're not doing this internally because we just don't have the team dedicated to it right now. But I know with some of our clients, we could also offer social media management services to promote their content more effectively. And so I shared here in this deck now a couple of ideas for like actually 3 or 4 different offerings or expansions into your current service you could do. If you're running a social media marketing agency right now already, or just any kind of content related agency. I'm sure you'll all know this guy here, Gary Vaynerchuk. Now, I don't know why this image has gone blurred because it wasn't blurred when I checked before I ran the presentation. So I'm sorry about that. But if you're involved in marketing content, you'll know this guy. You'll know, I would hope, this strategy of his called the content pyramid and content distribution, like what's it called? Like the 64 cents or something like that, some strategy where it's all about utilizing some pillar pieces of content and repurposing into micro content and then distributing. And so I know for a fact that there'll be a ton of you who are either running social media management for your clients, or maybe you are doing SEO and content for them. This is a great opportunity for people doing SEO and content, but not social. Like you could take those blog posts or those content pieces, repurpose them into tons of pieces of micro content, and then distribute them across all the relevant channels. And that can be a new service offering and supportive for your current work in terms of getting more eyeballs on your organic content that you're doing for your customer, but also providing more value to your customer by putting them in front of more people. So this is one potential thing that you can think of. You can also think about content as a service. So I talked about like how we've started to do content as a service for some of our clients. We're doing ad creative packs. Now, if you're a user of PromoRepublic, I don't know if PromoRepublic team, I didn't triple check this with you before, so I don't know if this is something that you're still like super actively promoting, but I know inside the dashboard in PromoRepublic, you'll see like a services tab. And when I first started working with PromoRepublic about 2 years ago, I think this was newer at the time. And you can go in and request content. You can get the PromoRepublic team to provide a number of like editable templates and visual content for social. And you could utilize this as an upsell to your clients, right? You could go to your clients and say, hey, look, we're managing your social media, but we think there's opportunity for better content or more content, and here are some ideas that we have. And you could go and utilize these content bundles or content services from the PromoRepublic team, for example. These are some of the things that are like, okay, you already have the resource internally, so you're not going to need to hire extra people. You're probably not going to need to build out extra processes. And so for us at HeyDigital, one great example of this is landing page design. So we already design and build landing pages for all of our clients when we're managing their advertising. So we already have systems for how to do this. We already have a team to do this. Like, why not offer this as a standalone service, as an expansion opportunity? It makes sense, right? And so for most of you here who are running content agencies, social agencies, general agencies, you'll already be doing this kind of stuff. You'll already be doing social media management. You'll already be doing content creation. So why not double down further into that and utilize this to expand out your agency with social media services? So you can start thinking about, okay, you've got one service line or one service offering nailed. How can you experiment with one or two others? But they don't have to be drastically different. They can be like, okay, you go from social media marketing and then you introduce a new service where it's content repurposing maybe, or creation of micro content, right? You don't have to think crazy large every single time. You can think about what are we doing already that can be built into its own service offering. And so for us, a great example was the advertising creative and the landing pages. We do that already for all of our clients. And so now we just repackage that as a standalone, and that helps add an additional portion onto our revenue every single month. Same with consulting. I do consulting now and again. Is this making sense for people? Is this like, does this seem like a useful idea or some good ideas for all of you? We're actually getting towards the very end of my presentation and my deck and the time that we have too. I always reserve a few, like 5 minutes or so for questions at the end. So the crowd today so far has been fairly quiet, but I'm going to encourage you again, if you do have questions, now is the time to get them in, because we're going to go to a little bit of a Q&A session in a second. But yeah, hopefully this is starting to help with like, okay, these are a few other ideas about how you can expand with social media and social media services in your agency. But also going back to the services to offer, you can think about all these other variants here, right? Like you could be expanding in with, so let's say you run podcasts for your clients, or you help them with podcasts, you do the editing for those podcasts. Maybe you could start to offer the transcription. Maybe you could start to offer the social media posts, and you could utilize something like PromoRepublic and their services offering to help you create the templates for the micro content. And so like, let's say you were doing something like this content distribution and you were repurposing into micro content, you could internally build a system and a process where you have, let's say, 30 or 40 different templates for micro content from podcasts or from blogs. And then all you need to do for your future clients is just switch out the colors or the branding and the information in those, but you already have the templates done. And so when I'm thinking about expansion opportunities, I'm thinking about what is low effort and easy to replicate, but can still drive high value. And these add-ons, in my opinion, and for what we see at HeyDigital, these add-ons are the kind of services that are actually significantly improving our profit margins, because they are like, I don't want to say they're 100% profit, but they're a lot more profitable because we don't need additional team members for them. We already have systems for these. We don't have to do anything else behind the scenes. So for example, for me, yesterday when I did a workshop about paid advertising, where I just talked about the work that we do for our clients, it was 100% profit for us, and it was a few hours work. Same with some of these other areas. Once you've built out the templates and the systems, it's really easy for you to replicate. Yeah, so that is the bulk of my presentation for today. Let's go to any questions. I've been asking this a couple of times. I don't see anything in the Zoom chat just yet, but I'm going to make it official now. So if you have any questions, please get them in. If you are going to wrap things up and leave us right now, before you do, just hold on for 1 minute. I want to say a big thank you for joining us today. Remember, the session that I talked about that's coming up next week. So it's how to prioritize for business growth with Felix. You can view that. I put the link in the chat. It's the most recent link, but I can also put it in the Zoom chat again one more time. I would really recommend you join this webinar here. Or if you're interested, head to growth.promorepublic.com, click on the webinars option and go and check out some of the previous sessions that we've done. So the most recent one here was social media reports, how to deliver and demonstrate ROI. You can see a lot of other sessions from others here. I would definitely recommend this is a great resource. There's so many previous webinars here, other resources also. If you see here, you'll go through to the PromoRepublic blog with stuff all about agencies, agency related topics over here as well. So yeah, I think that for me is everything. Thanks for joining. If you are gonna leave right now, I appreciate you. I hope you had a good time. If you're watching the replay of this or the recording of this session and you've made it all the way through to the end, then thank you. I would love to see you live next time. I see Lewis says thank you. Angelina says thanks. This was very helpful. So it's really good to hear that. I'm really pleased. I want to make sure these are actionable and useful for everyone that's here every single time that I do these. I'm going to stop my screen share and just come back to full screen. Hey everybody. Thanks for sticking with me too through my sore throat and my cold that I've had. I appreciate you. Chanel says thank you. I will watch the replay as I missed the beginning. Yeah, head to growth.promorepublic.com. You'll be able to check out the replay there shortly. Cool. I think let's. Oh, okay. I see a question now. Angelina Baxter, how long does it take you to set up systems? How long is a piece of string, Angelina? No, it depends on the system, right? So like we've been building out systems for the last year or year and a half. Let me see if there's a few things I can show you. So it depends. Like if you want to build them out entirely yourself, obviously that's going to take some time. There are a few things that you can do. I'm trying to think what would be the most helpful for you. Okay, I'm going to go back to my screen share. Share one thing. I'm not saying these are perfect because I have actually not used these yet, but I see ads for them all the time. If you want to fast track your SOP building, you could maybe look at something like this, the ClickMinded. They have marketing SOPs. I get hammered by their Facebook ads. And yeah, you can maybe look at some of their SOPs, just buy the SOPs from them. The tool that we use, Trainial, it does also have some built-in templates and SOP templates. So that might be useful. You could start to Google things like SOPs, digital marketing agencies. If I'm honest with you, what I do whenever I need help on a big project is I hire a consultant. I guess it depends how you're set financially right now, but like when we decided, okay, we're ready to scale, we know that our systems and SOPs will be really important. We paid a big chunk of money to work with an expert at building SOPs for agencies. I would also recommend, if I go back to my screen share, I'd also recommend this company. We worked with a company called ZenPilot. These guys were great. They helped us build out our project management workflows. But I've now got my own head of operations internal who expands this, but I would check out these guys' training, ZenPilot. They have some training courses. It looks like they're going to be launching a process library, which is great. Someone asked, I think, what's the project management system that you use? And that is ClickUp. We use ClickUp. Another question, what software do you use to create the content on your Dribbble page? So that my design team just create that themselves. We don't use software for it. So yeah, I don't really know the best answer there, but it's my design team. So this is work that they've done. If you're talking about like how do they structure it, the design tool that we use for all of our design is Figma. I don't know if any of you know Figma, figma.com. It's a design tool. My design team have built our own, we've built our own templates for Dribbble, I believe. So there's not like a tool that's built these, we've built these ourselves. I guess it's perk of having a great design team. So yeah, hopefully that answers that question for you. Okay. Yeah, project management platform we use is ClickUp. I think, let me look, is there any more? Seems like that is all the questions. But I'll just give it another 15 seconds just in case. And if I don't see any other questions, I'll wrap things up. Okay. What page would you recommend? What would you recommend to analyze Instagram accounts? I have no idea because I don't analyze Instagram accounts. I'm sorry. Angelina says, when you onboard someone, they go through the ClickUp flow. So our client doesn't see all of that. That's our internal team, is to help guide us. So to give you an example, if I go back, like our client there's client facing stuff, of course, but they don't see our ClickUp. We don't let them into our project management. So if I go here, you'll see if I scroll to the top, this is all stuff like, okay, client onboarding, system setup. Have we configured the onboarding? Have we sent the welcome message to the client in our Slack channel? Have we done the dashboards? And if you go into these onboarding configuration, this is the brief. These are the things that we need to do. So we need to create the internal Slack channel. We need to add due dates, all this kind of stuff, add them to the account dashboard. And then only once that's done can we move to the next step. And so this is all internal stuff. Our design onboarding, we need to review these assets. Okay, do we have, here's the SOP, you can click on this and it will take you to a document that explains everything. These are the different checklists, like, hey, we need all of this stuff. So this is more internally for us, it's not client facing. But yes, when we onboard them, they go through a flow. Like that's what we use to power everything. Okay, I think that is all of the questions. Yeah, it's just like Asana. ClickUp is just an alternative to Asana. We prefer it, but yeah, it's an alternative to Asana. No worries. Okay, cool. Let's wrap up there. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you found this useful and enjoyed it. I appreciate you all for joining me, and I will catch you all again very, very soon. Goodbye.